Welcome back to e-commerce psychology, powered by Growth Suite.
Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store.
Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify app store now and test it for free. Today, we're diving into, a psychological phenomenon
Yeah.
that can have a huge impact on your e-commerce sales.
Yeah.
The serial position effect.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah.
The simple act of
Whoa.
rearranging products on a page can actually influence what people remember and ultimately what they buy.
It sounds almost too good to be true.
Yeah,
But you're saying there's actual science behind this.
absolutely.
Right.
Back in the late 1800s, Hermann Ebbinghaus did some groundbreaking research on memory,
Yeah.
and he discovered this pattern.
Wow.
Then, in the 1960s,
Okay.
Murdoch and Bennett's research solidified it.
Interesting.
People tend to recall the first and last items in a sequence best.
Okay, so it's not just some marketing gimmick. There's real research behind it.
Yeah.
But for our listeners who might not be familiar, could you break down exactly what this serial position effect is all about?
Of course. The serial position effect boils down to two key elements,
Right.
the primacy effect
Okay.
and the recency effect.
Okay, got it.
The primacy effect explains why we remember
Yeah.
things at the beginning of a list better.
Uh-huh.
They get more of our attention and processing time, so they have a higher chance of landing in long-term memory.
So first impressions really do matter, even online.
Absolutely.
What about the recency effect?
The recency effect focuses on the last few items in a list.
Got it.
These are the things that stay fresh in our short-term memory.
Okay.
Because we've just seen them.
Yeah.
Think of it like watching a movie.
Okay.
You usually remember the opening scene and the climax,
Yeah.
but the middle can get a bit fuzzy.
Yeah. I'm starting to see how this could apply to online shopping. But how does this actually translate to increased sales?
Well, eye tracking studies have shown that users spend
Wow.
about 80% of their time on the top half of product pages,
Yep.
reinforcing this memory bias.
Wow.
And there's statistical evidence that products placed at the beginning or end of lists actually get significantly more clicks and
Yeah.
have higher conversion rates.
So, wow. So it's almost like our
Yeah.
brains subconsciously assign more importance to those top and bottom spots.
Exactly. It's almost like we equate placement with quality,
Yeah.
even if it's just an algorithm deciding what goes where.
That's really interesting.
And think about how big e-commerce platforms
Yeah.
already leverage this.
Oh.
Those sponsored items or bestseller sections you see,
Yeah.
they're often strategically placed at the top or bottom of pages
Right.
to capitalize on these effects.
So we're essentially playing into a natural tendency
Yeah.
that shoppers already have. And it's not about tricking them, but rather understanding their behavior and designing
Yeah.
an experience that caters to it.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about understanding how our minds work and using that knowledge to create a better user experience
Yeah.
that benefits both the shopper and the seller.
But before we get into the how-to of it all,
Yeah.
I want to dig a little deeper into the science behind this.
Okay.
You mentioned working memory constraints earlier.
Uh-huh.
Could you explain what that means?
Absolutely. Working memory is like our mental workspace,
Okay.
but it's limited in
Right.
how much information it can hold at once.
Okay.
Imagine it like juggling.
Okay.
You can only keep so many balls in the air at any given time.
So the first few items we see have time to settle
Right.
into long-term memory.
Yeah.
And the last few are still in the air,
Yeah,
but everything in between gets dropped.
precisely. And it's not just the order of items that
No, yeah.
matters. Eye tracking studies have also revealed
Okay.
that people tend to scan web pages
Yeah.
in an F pattern or a Z pattern,
Right.
visually focusing on the top and bottom.
So our eyes are literally working against those poor middle items.
That's true.
But I also remember you saying that
Yeah.
individual factors
Uh-huh.
can influence the strength of this effect, right?
That's right. A shopper's motivation,
Okay.
their shopping habits,
Yes.
even their demographics
Right.
can play a role. Someone on a mission to find a very specific product
Right.
might carefully examine the whole list,
Okay.
while someone casually browsing might only register the first and last things they see.
So even though this effect is fairly universal, it's still important
Right.
to consider the individual shopper
Yeah.
and their unique context.
Uh-huh.
It adds a layer of complexity
Yeah.
to an already fascinating phenomenon.
It really does.
But now I know our listeners are eager to hear how they can actually put this into practice. Where do we even begin?
Well, a great starting point is your product page layout.
Okay.
How you display your products can have a major impact.
Oh, on which ones get noticed
Mm-hmm.
and remembered.
Okay, layout. So are we talking about things like
Yeah.
grid view versus list view?
Absolutely.
And what about those sorting options?
Yeah.
Do those factor into the serial position effect?
Absolutely. With a grid layout, you need to be strategic about which products
Okay.
occupy those prime top and bottom spots.
Right.
In list view, it's all about the first and last few items that appear.
Okay.
And then with sorting options, your default sort
Yes.
determines what products people see first.
Right.
If your default is to sort by price,
Uh-huh.
your most profitable items might be getting buried in the middle.
You just made me rethink my entire product page strategy.
I hope so.
And what about while you're shopping?
Yeah.
I imagine the serial position effect is even more pronounced on
Yeah.
smaller screens.
You're exactly right. With vertical scrolling on mobile,
Okay.
the top and bottom items are even more emphasized.
It's crucial to make sure you're showcasing your most strategic products in
Okay.
those positions.
This is really eye-opening.
Yeah.
We've covered the basics
Yeah.
of the serial position effect, but I'm eager to learn more about how to actually implement it effectively. What are some specific strategies for leveraging the primacy effect, for example?
One really powerful approach is to showcase your flagship items or best sellers first.
Make a strong first impression right out of the gate.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense. What else can we do to capitalize
Sure.
on that prime first impression position?
Another effective strategy is price anchoring.
Okay.
Start with some of your higher priced items
Right.
to make the subsequent options seem more affordable.
It's all about setting expectations early on.
Exactly.
Make those later products look like a steal.
Yeah.
Very clever.
And don't underestimate the power of using that first position to build brand authority.
Okay.
Featuring your most well-known, recognizable products first can help solidify your brand identity in the customer's mind.
So the primacy effect is about grabbing attention,
Yeah.
building trust, and setting the stage.
Yeah.
What about the recency effect?
Right.
How do we make those last impressions count?
Think of the last position as your final chance to leave a lasting impact.
Okay.
Place your most visually appealing items
Yeah.
or strong calls to action at the very end.
You want to make them want to click that add to cart button
Yes.
right before they navigate away.
Exactly. This is also an ideal spot for cross-selling or upselling related products.
Okay.
Someone adds a pair of shoes to their cart.
Okay.
Why not suggest some matching socks?
Oh, okay.
Or a shoe care kit right at the end.
Like the perfect little nudge at just the right moment.
Yeah.
What about scarcity tactics?
Yeah.
Those can be pretty effective, especially online.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Things like limited stock alerts
Okay.
or countdown timers
Mhm.
are especially persuasive. When they're the last thing a customer sees,
Right.
it creates a sense of urgency that can really drive conversions.
This is all starting to come together.
Good.
I love how many different ways
Yeah.
there are to use this effect.
Yeah, it's really versatile.
But what about those poor middle items? How do we keep them from just fading into the background?
You're right, we can't neglect the middle.
Yeah.
One approach is to break up long lists
Okay.
with clear headings and visuals.
Mm-hmm.
This essentially creates new start and end points,
Okay.
giving those middle products a fighting chance.
So we're almost tricking the brain into thinking it's looking at multiple shorter lists,
Right.
each with its own primacy and recency effect.
Exactly.
That's so smart.
And don't forget about using white space
Okay.
and larger images to make middle items stand out visually.
Right.
Anything that breaks up the monotony
Yeah.
and draws the eye can help.
Interactive elements could be effective here too, right?
Absolutely.
Things like animations or hover effects.
Interactive elements keep shoppers engaged for longer, increasing the likelihood
Right.
that those middle items will be seen and remembered.
This is incredibly helpful information.
Good.
But with so many nuances to consider,
Yeah.
how do we know what's actually working for our specific audience?
That's where testing and data come in. We need to talk about A/B testing
Right.
and how to measure the effectiveness of these strategies.
Right, yeah.
But that's a conversation for part 2 of this deep dive.
I can't wait to dive into that. This is e-commerce psychology powered by Growth Suite.
Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store.
Test it for free on your Shopify store. Just land on the Shopify App Store now and test it for free. We'll be back after a quick break.
See you then.
To explore the world of A/B testing and see how you can really fine-tune your strategies for maximum impact.
All right.
Welcome back to e-commerce psychology.
Where we're turning the power of the serial position effect into real results for your online store.
And in this part of our deep dive, we're tackling the essential step that separates guesswork from data-driven success.
Yes.
A/B testing.
Because let's be honest.
Right.
What works for one store might not work for another.
Exactly. Every audience is different.
Right.
And the only way to know what resonates with your customers is to put your strategies to the test.
Absolutely.
And that's where A/B testing comes in.
Yeah.
It's a simple but incredibly powerful tool for understanding how changes to your website impact user behavior.
For sure.
Okay, so for our listeners who might be new to A/B testing, could you walk us through how it works in the context of product placement?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You create two versions of a page.
Okay.
Let's say your category page.
Okay, so version A is our control.
Right.
The page as it currently exists, right?
Exactly. And in version B, you make one specific change based on the serial position effect. Maybe you move your bestsellers to the top of the list.
Okay.
Or you experiment with a different sorting option.
Right.
Then you split your website traffic between these two versions.
Got it.
And track how each group interacts with the page.
So half the people see the original layout.
Right.
And half see the new layout with the rearranged products.
Exactly.
What are we looking for in terms of data?
Sure.
What should we be tracking?
There are a few key metrics to keep a close eye on.
Right.
Click-through rates are crucial.
Okay.
Are people clicking on the products in the new positions more often?
Right.
Then there's conversion rates. Are those clicks actually leading to sales?
Okay.
And don't forget about add to cart rates.
Yeah.
Particularly for those middle items.
Right.
Are they being added to carts more frequently with the new layout?
So it's all about comparing those numbers.
Yeah.
Between version A and version B, seeing if those seemingly small tweaks are actually moving the needle.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of visual data.
Okay.
Tools like heat maps and eye tracking studies can give you amazing insights into how people are interacting with your pages.
Yeah.
Where are their eyes drawn to?
Right.
Are they even noticing those middle products?
It's like we're getting a 360-degree view how those product placements are performing, not just relying on guesswork.
Exactly. And once you have this data, you can start making informed decisions about what to keep, what to tweak, and what to completely revamp.
Okay.
This is where optimization comes into play.
Right. A/B testing isn't a one-time thing. No. It's an ongoing process of testing, analyzing, and refining.
Continuous optimization is key.
Yeah.
Customer behavior is always evolving, so your strategies need to adapt too.
Right.
Run experiments regularly.
Okay.
Adjust product positions based on your data.
Okay.
And never stop looking for ways to improve.
It sounds like we need to stay flexible and adapt to things like seasonal trends and changes in consumer behavior.
Absolutely.
And don't forget to keep an eye on your competitors.
Right.
What are they doing with their product placement?
Yeah, are they using strategies that seem to be working well?
Right.
Can you adapt those tactics for your own store?
It's like a game of chess, constantly anticipating and responding to new moves.
It is.
So we've covered the basics of A/B testing. But what about taking things to the next level?
Okay.
Are there more advanced tactics we can use?
Yeah.
With the serial position effect?
Definitely. Once you've mastered the fundamentals, you can start combining this principle with other psychological techniques for even more impact.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What other psychological principles can we layer on top of the serial position effect?
Well, think about psychological pricing.
Okay.
We touched on price anchoring earlier.
Right.
But you can get really creative with it. You could introduce a less desirable option in the middle of a list, for instance, to make the top and bottom products look like a better deal.
So we're playing with perceived value.
Right.
And using those middle items strategically.
Exactly. And you can experiment with bundling and package offers.
Okay.
Placing them strategically at the start or end of a list to highlight the savings.
Oh, okay.
The way you display discounts matters too.
Oh?
Putting that markdown information in the last position can provide a final push towards a purchase.
These are some powerful tactics.
I know, right?
I'm starting to see how the serial position effect can be combined with other strategies to create a really persuasive online shopping experience. What about personalization?
Yes.
Is there a way to tailor this effect
there is
to individual shoppers?
Personalization is a game changer.
Wow.
Imagine using a customer's browsing history or past purchases to dynamically adjust which products appear in those prime positions. You could show them things they've viewed before, related items, or even recommendations based on their demographics.
It's like crafting a unique product layout for every single shopper. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is.
But wouldn't be confusing if the order was completely different every time someone visited the site.
That's a great point. It's about finding that sweet spot between personalization and consistency.
Okay.
You don't want to overwhelm people with constant change, but you also want to make the experience feel tailored to them.
It's about adding a touch of personalization without sacrificing a sense of familiarity. What about when we're selling across multiple platforms?
Yeah.
How do we maintain consistency with our serial position effect strategy across our website, social media, and even a physical store?
That's where an omni-channel approach is crucial.
Okay.
Your product placement strategy should be aligned across all your sales channels as much as possible. Each platform has its nuances, of course.
Yeah.
You might have more personalization options on a mobile app. And marketplaces like Amazon have their own algorithms to consider. But the core principles of the serial position effect can still guide your decisions.
So we're applying this principle consistently. But adapting it to the unique constraints of each platform. It's like having a secret weapon.
I like it.
That can be used in any battle.
It's true.
But I think it's important to acknowledge the potential ethical concerns here. Are we manipulating customers into buying things they don't need?
That's a valid concern. It's crucial to use these techniques responsibly and ethically. We're not trying to trick anyone into buying something they don't want.
Transparency and building trust with our audience should always be the priority.
Absolutely.
We're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes, but rather use our knowledge of psychology to create a better, more engaging shopping experience. And it's important to be mindful of accessibility. Your layout should be designed to work for everyone, including users with disabilities.
For sure.
Accessibility and ethical considerations should always be top of mind.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot of ground here. From the basics of the serial position effect to some incredibly advanced tactics.
It's true.
But what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing they should remember?
The biggest takeaway is that small strategic tweaks can have a huge impact by being mindful of where you place your products and how those placements influence perception. You can boost sales and create a more compelling shopping experience.
It's all about using the power of psychology to enhance the customer journey. I'm feeling inspired to put all of this into practice.
I hope so.
But before we all rush off to rearrange our online stores, we have one more part to this deep dive.
We do.
We'll be back to explore real-world examples and case studies of how successful businesses are putting the serial position effect to work for them.
Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned for part 3. Welcome back to E-commerce Psychology,
where we're taking the theory of the serial position effect and showing you how it works in the real world.
Because nothing beats seeing how others have successfully put these strategies into action.
Exactly. It's inspiring to see how some companies have used this simple concept to achieve remarkable results.
So let's dive into those success stories. Have you seen any companies that have really knocked it out of the park using the serial position effect?
Oh, absolutely. One online retailer saw a significant boost in their conversion rates by making one simple change.
What did they do?
They strategically placed their most popular products first on their category pages.
So they're grabbing attention right away with those bestsellers.
Precisely. And then they really capitalized on the recency effect by positioning their highest margin products at the end of the page.
So they're using that prime real estate to encourage impulse buys of their more profitable items.
Exactly. They essentially created a 1-2 punch of popularity and profitability.
That's brilliant. Do you have any other examples? I'd love to hear how this plays out in different industries.
Well, one clothing brand decided to flip their new arrivals section.
What do you mean by flip?
Instead of showcasing their latest designs first, they put their most profitable lines front and center.
So they use the primacy effect to highlight their most valuable products instead of just what was new.
Exactly. And it led to a significant increase in sales for those featured items.
That's incredible. It really shows how a subtle shift in thinking can have a major impact on the bottom line.
And it's not just big companies that can benefit.
Right.
Smaller businesses can see amazing results by strategically promoting their best sellers at both the beginning and end of their product lists.
So it's like creating a bestseller sandwich.
I like that. And remember, this principle isn't limited to product pages.
Right.
You can apply it to category pages, search results pages, even your homepage.
I'm starting to see how this can be implemented across an entire website. Can you give us some more examples of how businesses are using this on different types of pages?
Sure. A lot of fashion retailers use this strategy on category pages.
Okay.
They'll feature their most visually appealing outfits or seasonal collections at the top to draw you in immediately.
So they're appealing to our desire for what's new and trendy.
And then as you scroll down, they'll often finish with a section of sale items or clearance deals, tapping into our love of a good bargain.
So they're hitting us with both emotional triggers, the desire for something new, the thrill of a great deal.
Exactly. And search result pages are another prime opportunity.
Right.
When someone searches for something specific, they're already showing intent to buy. So businesses often prioritize sponsored products or bestsellers in those top slots.
Because they know those are the products that will grab our attention first.
Precisely. And the homepage is like your digital storefront.
Right.
It's your chance to make a strong first impression.
Yeah.
Many businesses use that hero banner at the top to showcase a flagship product or their most compelling offer.
That's a great way to capture attention immediately. What about further down the page?
As you scroll down, they often present curated collections of bestsellers or trending categories, keeping those products front and center.
It's like they're crafting a visual narrative, guiding the shopper's journey with each strategically placed element.
And let's not forget about email marketing. The serial position effect is incredibly effective in email campaigns, too.
Oh, right. We haven't even touched on email yet. How are businesses using this in their email marketing?
Think about a typical promotional email.
Okay.
It often starts with an attention-grabbing headline at the very top,
where you're most likely to see it right away.
And then they'll place compelling images and calls to action throughout the email, strategically leading you towards a purchase.
It's like they're creating a visual path for the shopper to follow.
And often, they'll finish with a final reminder or offer at the bottom, right before you're about to close the email.
So they're using that last impression to really drive the message home.
Precisely. This is especially effective for abandoned cart emails.
Oh, okay.
You want to remind customers about the item they left behind.
Yeah.
So putting a large image of it at the top can be really powerful.
And then maybe offer a little incentive like free shipping at the very end to give them that final nudge.
Exactly. It's all about creating strategic touch points where the serial position effect can work its magic.
This is all incredibly insightful. But are there any studies that show this actually works? Is there data to back up these claims?
Absolutely. There's a growing body of research that supports the effectiveness of the serial position effect in e-commerce.
Okay.
Eye tracking studies show that the top left corner and the bottom of category pages receive the most attention, reinforcing the idea that those positions are most impactful.
So we're not just relying on anecdotal evidence. There's actual science behind this.
And some emerging neuroscience research suggests that the first and last items in a list actually trigger stronger emotional and memory-based responses in the brain.
That's fascinating. It's not just about visual attention. It's actually impacting how we feel and remember these products.
It really highlights the power of psychology in shaping our online experiences.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I'm feeling truly inspired to rethink my entire approach to product placement.
I'm glad to hear it. Remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
Right.
Start experimenting and see what works best for your business.
And don't forget, this episode of E-Commerce Psychology was powered by Growth Suite. Growth Suite helps you to run smart discount campaigns on your store.
Test it for free on your Shopify store.
Just head over to the Shopify App Store now and test it for free.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into the world of e-commerce psychology.
All right, see you then.